The Padres simply cannot be stopped right now. I made a video about Jackson Merrill the other day, and he has been the catalyst of this Padres success story that we've been seeing. But they're getting contributions up and down that lineup, and they're looking like one of the scariest outs in Major League Baseball. And when I'm talking about the postseason, their bullpen is ready to take it over. So we'll break that down and much more on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. What's up, everybody? Welcome into 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we're discussing the Padres yet again because they have turned into one of my favorite teams to watch in Major League Baseball. And even though that wasn't the case for me last year personally, they just look good. And even without Juan Soto, they've become sort of this underdog story despite a lot of their guys making top dollars around Major League Baseball. And Jackson Merrill as well has turned into one of my guys that I look forward to watching every single night. And he's box office. Even though he's still batting sixth in the order for whatever reason, it's working. It's working for Mike Shildt and the Padres, and they've been one of the best success stories in Major League Baseball this year. You can't understate it. I mean, they've been one of the hottest teams in the circuit for what feels like 2 months now. And let's just get straight into the video. Before we do that, though, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. It means a lot to me. And give me your thoughts on the Padres. You guys were all very vocal on the last video that I made about Jackson Merrill. He should be the overwhelming favorite for the Rookie of the Year, but Paul Skeens, he might have something to say about that as well. He starts tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But let's take a look here at the standings in the National League West Division. The San Diego Padres are 3 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers, as are the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have been one of the hottest teams in baseball as well. So it's going to be a really tight finish, I think. And the Dodgers are doing whatever they can to stay atop that division, but it's not going to be easy for them. A 3-game lead is not insurmountable at this point of the season with about 29 games left to go. So there's going to be some work to be done for the Dodgers, and there's going to be some work to be done by the Diamondbacks and the Padres as well. But I believe that this race is going to come down to the wire. And that's what makes baseball so exciting, especially once you get into the end of August, early September. All these playoff races are really tight, and it's very fun to watch. There's just no other way to put it. You look at the AL Central, which was touted as by far and away the worst division in baseball. That is pretty tight as well. The Twins are 3 games back of first place, or 2.5 games back of first place, and then you have a tie for first between Kansas City and the Cleveland Guardians. And Bobby Witt Jr., playing like an MVP candidate, won't win it this year because of Aaron Judge, but he's having one of the best shortstop seasons ever. You could even argue the best shortstop season ever, and he's going to get robbed of the MVP award because of the heroics of Aaron Judge. So it just shows you how much talent is around Major League Baseball. But this is a Padres-focused video yet again, and let's take a look here. One of these guys is a 21-year-old playing a brand new position. He's talking about Jackson Merrill, who is approaching MVP caliber level production. I would not go that far to say that he's producing MVP caliber production, because his WAR is still under 4, and he's not in the same stratosphere as guys like Ketel Marte or Shohei Ohtani. Like, not yet. I believe he can get there, but he's a 21-year-old rookie, and he's just not at that level quite yet. But he's an ultra talent, and there's no doubting that. So you look at these stats here. Bobby Witt Jr., who I just spoke about earlier, he's one of 4 players in Major League Baseball to have 90th percentile or better in expected slugging and outs above average. And keep in mind, Merrill is a shortstop by trade, and he's coming up to the big leagues, making his debut, and he's in center field, which is a premium defensive position, and he is making the seamless transition to being one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball. So he's got a 94th percentile expected slugging, which is not necessarily reflected in his season numbers. So it just shows you maybe how unlucky he's been getting. We saw yesterday he got robbed by Victor Scott in center field, which probably would have been a triple considering the blazing speed that Jackson Merrill possesses. Bobby Witt Jr. obviously stands alone at the top there in 99th percentile in expected slug and outs above average, but that's some pretty good company that the 21-year-old rookie Jackson Merrill is keeping right there, and he's in a list with Bobby Witt Jr., Francisco Lindor, and Ketel Marte, who are all MVP caliber players. Now, I wouldn't put Merrill in that conversation just yet, but as I mentioned before, he's going to get there, and there's no doubt about it. So we take a look at this. On June 21st, Fernando Tatis went down with an injury. The Padres were 40-40. Since, Jackson Merrill is slashing .297 with a .322 on base, a .569 slug with 10 home runs, 13 doubles, 5 triples, and 40 RBIs in 50 games. 40 RBIs in 50 games. I'm no math guy, but that's a pretty ridiculous pace over a 162 game season. That would be over 130 RBIs, if I'm not mistaken. So San Diego is 32-18 in those 50 games that Tatis has missed. And without Jackson Merrill, San Diego isn't in a wild card spot. And then he finishes off the tweet with NL Rookie of the Year. And I couldn't agree more with Josh Gross over here, because Merrill madness is a real thing, and he is a massive reason why the Padres are in this position right now, and why a lot of casual baseball fans and why a lot of just baseball fans in general are looking to the Padres to be one of the scariest teams come postseason. They made a lot of trades at the deadline. They showed their hand. They went all in. They traded away prospects, whatever prospects that they did have remaining, for Tanner Scott. They got Brian Hoeing as well, and they just addressed some of those bullpen concerns. And you add on top of that, they also have Robert Suarez, who you could argue is a top 3, top 5 closer in baseball. So they have all of the pieces in their pitching staff. Dylan Cease has had a wonderful season for them. They're about to get Yu Darvish back, and Fernando Tatis is on the mend as well. He's not too far away from returning to game action. So all of these factors are working in the Padres' favor, and in my opinion, I think they should be the favorite in the National League. The Phillies are starting to reel a little bit. They don't look like the same Phillies that they did early on in the year. The Dodgers, I've been on record saying this, I don't love their pitching staff. I don't think it's good enough to get them through the rigors of a postseason, and they did well in adding Michael Kopech, who has really turned his season around once he got there. But is that enough to get them over the hump? They're going to get Yamamoto back soon, but you got to believe that it's going to be on an innings limit, right? So they don't have Shohei pitching. They don't have a lot of guys at their disposal. Gavin Stone has been a really nice piece for them, but again, like I just don't have faith in that rotation to hold up from the start of October to November if they want to be playing in the World Series. But the Padres, I have full faith that their rotation is going to be good enough to get them through, and full faith that their bullpen is arguably the best in baseball, aside from maybe the Cleveland Guardians, who boast one of the best back ends as well. So it's going to be a very fun playoff. I think the National League is wide open, a lot more wide open than the American League is, because it's probably a 3-team race in the American League, whereas the National League, I could see any team really coming out of there and making some noise in the playoffs. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Thank you guys so much for making it this far, and shout out to all you Padre fans coming out of the woodworks and supporting my videos. I really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you haven't already, and make sure to give me your thoughts on the Padres and how electric they have been over the past 2 months. Been one of the best teams in baseball, one of the best stories overall, so it's been a blast. But check out Baseball Town as well. They are your one-stop shop for everything that you need baseball related, whether it's softball or baseball, bats, gloves, cleats, batting gloves. They got you covered. The best equipment at the most competitive prices. So check them out today. But that'll wrap it up. Shout out to all you Padre fans. And let's go. Let's go San Diego.